Hello and welcome back to the lesson. The subject is governance, compliance and audit. Today we are going to study reports to those charged with governance. Reports to those charged with governance. And in the context of governance and compliance audit, those charged with governance typically refers to the board of directors, the audit committee, or a specialized supervisory board. So when we are talking about those charged with governance, we are referring to the board of directors, we are referring to the audit committee or supervisory. There are those companies that have a supervisory board, and so when we referring to those charged with governance, are the board of directors are charged with governance, the audit committee, and also the supervisory board. So reporting to this group by the governance and compliance audit is a distinct process from reporting to management, because after completing the governance and audit process, the governance and compliance auditor is required not only to report to the management, but also to the board, to the audit committee, and also the supervisory board. So the process is different. So this reporting focuses on high-level oversight. It focuses on strategic integrity and also the tone at the top. So the objective here is to ensure that the people with the ultimate legal and fiduciary responsibility have a transparent view of the organization's risks. So if you are a governance and compliance audit, you need to know that reporting to this group of individuals is very important, and you have to focus on oversight when you are reporting, on strategic integrity, and also the tone at the top. And reporting to the board and the audit committee serves three main functions. Reporting serves three main functions. Number one is what we call accountability. Accountability. Holding the board accountable for that means holding the board accountable for their oversight of internal controls. The second function is support for the audit. Support for the audit. Support for the audit. That means providing a platform to discuss any management interference. The reason why you have to report to those charged with governance is one, for accountability purpose, then there is support for the audit. In case of any interference by the management in the process of auditing, you have to report to those charged with governance. You understand? Yes. Provide a platform to discuss any management interference. So if you are a governance and compliance audit, you've been auditing a company and the management have been interfering with your work, then when reporting to those charged with corporate governance, you may also have an opportunity to discuss such interference. Or if there is any, apart from management interference, there could also be scope limitations. Maybe the management did not provide you with the information that you needed, or there are documents that were withheld, and so on. So support for the audit, it could be in terms of management interference. It provides you a platform to discuss management interference and also scope limitation. Because as an auditor, for you to effectively carry out your work, you need to have access to all documents. Your questions must also be answered. So in case you've not been provided with all the documents that you need, or the management has not been answering your questions or requested for interviews, the interviews are not granted, then you have an opportunity to discuss that with those charged with management. That is number 2. The third function, candidates, you are discussing the functions. Reporting to the board or the audit committee serve 3 main functions. There is accountability, support for the audit, and also there is strategic direction. Strategic direction. Strategic direction. That means that reporting to those charged with governance can highlight systematic risks that require board level intervention or budget allocation. Highlighting systematic risks. Okay? Highlighting systemic, not systematic, but systemic risks. Systemic risks. Highlighting systemic risks that require board level intervention. That is why you have to report to those charged with governance, so that in case there are systemic risks, then such risks can be discussed, or they can be dealt with, or they can be looked into by those charged with governance. Those charged with governance. Now, so what is the core contents? These are functions. What are the contents? What is the content of these reports? Contents of the reports. Reports to those charged with governance. What is the content? What is contained in this report to those charged with governance? Now, while the full audit report is detailed, the communication to those charged with governance focuses on the big picture. The normal governance and compliance audit report we know is a detailed report, just as we discussed in our earlier lessons. But when reporting to those charged with governance, you focus on the big picture. You only report the significant findings. 1, significant findings. You report on significant findings. Only the most critical issues that impact the organization's viability or legal standing are included in the report to those charged with governance. Then there is management overrides. Management overrides. These are instances where executives bypassed controls. Okay? Where the management bypassed controls, then you can only report to those charged with governance. You can't report to the same management. So a report to those charged with governance also contains management overrides, which are situations where the management bypassed its own controls. Number 3, auditor independence. Auditor independence is also part of the report to those charged with governance. There has to be a formal confirmation that the auditor remained objective and free from influence. So you have to have it in writing as part of this report that as an auditor, you remained independent throughout the audit process. or material gaps. You have to include material gaps in compliance. Not small gaps or insignificant gaps, but the material or significant gaps. Specifically regarding constitutional provisions, if there are any gaps in constitutional provisions, maybe the company is not complying with the provisions of the Constitution or its own Constitution, or if there are gaps in international treaties, or if there is a major statutory laws, if there are any breaches or violations in statutory laws, that should also form part of what you report to those charged with governance. Right? Then part of this report should also be the uncorrected misstatements. Uncorrected misstatements. Uncorrected misstatements. There ought to be a list of issues that the auditor found that management has refused to fix. Because in the process of conducting the audit, you may come across issues that require management's attention. And as an auditor, you are required to bring to the attention of the management regarding such issues. When you do so and the management refuses to fix the issues, then that should form part of the report to those charged with governance. So that is very important to note, candidates, that you focus on the big picture when reporting to those charged with governance. But again, it's important to also remember that this communication is two-way. Reporting to those charged with governance is not just a one-way presentation. No, it is a dialogue. It is a dialogue. The auditor must be able to meet the audit committee without the CEO being present. And critical issues like suspected fraud or major regulatory breaches must be reported immediately. They should not be held until the final audit annual report. You understand? Yes. So that is all for our today's lesson on reports to those charged with governance. We've defined those charged with governance. We say these comprise the board of directors, the audit committee, and if there is any supervisory board. And reporting to the board or audit committee serves three main functions: accountability, support for the audit, and strategic direction. Then in this lesson, we have indicated the contents of the report to those charged with governance. One is significant findings, management overrides. Number 3, auditor independence. Number 4, material gaps in compliance. Number 5, uncorrected misstatements. Thank you for attending the lesson. We meet in our next session where we continue to discuss on reporting, governance, and compliance audit. Bye-bye.